What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Buster Douglas. Buster Douglas, the man that stopped Kid Dynamite Iron Mike Tyson back in the day, has a lot of things to say and similarities compared to Andy Ruiz. And let me explain. Andy Ruiz gained 15 pounds more in the rematch. The next fight with Buster Douglas, he gained 15 pounds for the rematch. And both times, both of these guys let fame get to their head. Their head got big. They thought they had arrived. They thought that the big break has just been announced. And understand something about Buster Douglas. Just like Andy Ruiz, those guys weren't rookies. Okay, they've been around for a while. Okay. It was one of those things where Buster Douglas was not, he was a chosen fighter for a reason. But he had a pretty decent record at the time, okay? So did Andy Ruiz, okay? Those guys went in, they haven't been at that platform, and it just shows you, really honestly, that some people, not saying this is Andy Ruiz, but some people don't belong at that level, and they show you as time permits. As time goes by, they tell you, and they show you by their actions that, no, they're not supposed to be in this situation at all. Okay? Now, the difference is Mike Tyson never had the opportunity to fight Buster Douglas again. Because by the time Mike Tyson had that opportunity, he had already been beaten by Holyfield. Okay? Holyfield was the guy that beat Buster Douglas when Buster Douglas came in at 15 pounds heavier, like Andy Ruiz. Anthony Joshua, having his star power and he being who he is, was able to get that rematch, So it was one of those things where both guys on the way back on the first title defense got stopped. Their success came to a screeching halt. And the ironic thing, Buster Douglas was praising Andy Ruiz and saying that the same thing will happen because it only gives him the spotlight because he was one of the first ones to do that. He was one of the guys, he joins that group, that famous group, that unique group like James Braddock, right? Like Roberto Duran. See, people don't want to hear that, but yeah, he upset Sugar Ray Leonard, okay? Buster Douglas, another one. Now, Andy Ruiz. So, of course, that unique group, that unique pool of people are going to support each other, So Buster Douglas should support each other, should support Andy Ruiz. And, and I think, honestly, Ruiz is not done. He could be, but he's not. It depends on what he does with his career at this point. I've already done my counterpunch on that. But it's just crazy the similarities that happen. And, in fact, Buster Douglas did warn Andy Ruiz. Like, hey, don't let the fame get to your head. Stay focused. Stay grounded. Okay? And according to Ruiz Sr., Andy didn't do any of that shit. And it is a disappointment because it's almost like, okay, what the hell are you doing? That's why I go back to some people, not saying it's him, but then he's showing us it's not him, don't belong in this position. He showed us Saturday night and he showed us for the last 6 months because this guy wasn't ready for these type of fights. He wasn't ready for these type of fights. He thought to himself, hey, I have time to train. I got 6 months, right? So he let time go by. He kept partying. He kept abusing his body. He kept eating every damn thing somebody threw at him. You seen him. He was there eating pizza. He was eating every damn thing, right? But when he got to camp, he spent a lot of time losing weight. And when you spend a lot of time losing weight, you don't have time to prepare, okay? You don't have time at all. And you don't really come in shape because a lot of times you're losing weight. That doesn't mean you're in shape, You're stressing your body. You're exhausting your body to lose weight. That's not in shape. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's connected to, what his trainer said about him before the fight, that Andy Ruiz, he was losing weight. And while he was losing weight, he was becoming sluggish because that's an exhausting pattern, You know, when you're doing that process is exhausting. When you're sitting there with trying to lose a bunch of weight that you've gained, you know. So imagine this. Maybe Andy Ruiz did lose a lot of weight. Maybe he was over 300 pounds. Now that we think about it, Buster Douglas himself. Now this was after, so I don't want you guys to confuse, you know, what Buster did, you know, right after, immediately after. But after his rise to fame and his fall from grace, Buster Douglas did go home and gain. He was up to 400 pounds. Okay? So if anybody could give advice to anyone else, it should be Buster Douglas to Andy Ruiz. Why? Because he's been there. You know, Andy Ruiz, he lost his fight. So this is basically Buster Douglas's loss to Evander Holyfield at this point. But what he should do at this point, I think he should sit down with somebody that's already been there like Buster Douglas and can stop him from doing the same things and continue the same process and the same footsteps that he did. You know, I think that's best for Andy Ruiz at this point, because you can learn a lot from someone that's already walked in those footsteps, brother. You know, and Buster Douglas has done that. So I think he needs to, you know, listen, pay attention to someone else that's been in those footsteps. But anyway, you guys tell me what you think about the similarities of Buster Douglas and Andy Ruiz. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.